All right, the Las Vegas Raiders do in fact select Ashton Jeanty. I'm going to get into the film in just a second and talk about why I like this player so much. Listen, if you've followed this channel for a while, you know I've been heavily critical of teams drafting running backs in the first round. I kind of get this move. I really do, just because I think that an elite level running back still has value in the NFL. And while I think a lot of times guys will take teams will take good running back prospects and hope they become elite. To me, this is a prospect who I'm like, no, this is the quote-unquote generational talent. This is the Saquon Barkley type of prospect that you look at and say, he just checks every box. And so to talk about that, what do I have to do? Well, I have to get into the film, so let's not ramble too much. Let's just get into the film of why I think he is just such an electric player. All right, let's start off with this play. It's going to just be a run to the left. We don't have to break down the blocking concept on this one too much. Let's just see what happens. So Genty's going to get the ball, and as of right here, you see there's a couple of players that could make a tackle, but ultimately, there is a way for him to try and get through those two, or at least, maximize the yardage here, right? There is a little bit of a lane. Watch how he jukes out the guy on the left, and actually goes fast enough to juke out the guy on the right as well, so already a pretty great play. There is another defender who's meeting him in the hole. However, Genty's able to shake off that guy, gets to this point where a couple more defenders are ready to tackle him. I think you might know where this one is going at this point. Watch. I mean, you see he gets out of that situation as well. I mean, you see the Marshawn Lynch comparisons right off the bat, right? That feels very Beastquake, that kind of run. And again, comparing him to a guy who might end up with a gold jacket someday before he's played a single NFL snap is certainly a high bar to clear. But this is definitely just one of the things that he does is these highlight reel level runs are just unbelievable. And he does it in ways like this too, which remind me a bit of like Saquon Barkley and what Barkley is able to do, and certainly even was able to do in college and with the Giants. You remember when Giants didn't have a great offensive line, sometimes you had to get out of trouble. Well, you see Genty on this play. There's a player who I've circled right here. Watch that player get through in position to try and tackle Genty if he can get over there. But watch just how Genty moves. He is able to cut to create some space, and he picks up a good amount of yards. We always talk about the players who do well in open space, but sometimes it's about creating space for yourself, and that's what Genty can do. So it's that combination of he's not just a guy that runs over you, right? He has that in his tool belt, but he also can do the other stuff. I mean, he could even do something like this, which is, it's going to be a passing play. He's going to, get the ball out wide right here. Okay, simple enough. Let's see what happens. So when this play begins, you're going to see, okay, as of right now, right when we get to here, there's a, play works as designed. There is a defender, and you're probably thinking, okay, well, you've been talking very positive about this, so what's going to happen? It's going to be something positive. Is he going to juke him out? Is he going to run him over? Well, instead, he's going to go over that defender. Ultimately does get tackled, but yeah, he can hurdle guys as well. So there's really he can do everything, right? He can do everything, and honestly, not even just in the running game. He's a guy who can block. Something like this, which, I mean, this matters. I know people don't really tend to pay attention to blocking when it comes to running backs. They mostly pay attention to running with some attention paid to receiving. But trust me, this is important because you have some great running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is kind of my go-to example of this. A guy who Lions fans always say, why don't we put him out there more? Well, it's because he's not a blocker. And so he's one of the best runners in football, but they still can't put him out there for every snap. For Genty, you're not going to have to worry about that. So this play, you see how the defense is selling as though they could be blitzing. There are 6 guys who are at the line. But that is what they're going to do on Genty's side of the field. So there's only going to be 2 players who rush. So if they all 3 rush, it's easy. You just block the guy on the edge, right? But here, that's why they're not doing it. They're going to have a player drop back into coverage. And with this stunt right here, where the edge rusher runs in between the center and the guard, the hope is he can get a straight shot to the quarterback. However, when this play begins, watch how Genty reads it and gets in position, and really, that's 90% of the battle, right? It's just being able to read the play and get in position, and that was a difficult play to read. Look, the block itself, he, just gets in the way. He doesn't have to do too much more than that. Like, all you really want is to give the guy a bump, not let him get straight to your quarterback if you're a running back. But he has the ability to do that. And again, to read that play and get in position, to me, that's more important than anything else. So, you look at the best running backs in the league, Saquon Barkley, he can block, right? Like, the best guys can do that, and that's how you're able to be, you know, an every down player, because otherwise teams aren't going to want to have you out there on third downs. And also, he just has this stuff, which is just so good. So it's going to be they're going to flip it to him. He's going to go to the offense's right on this play. Watch how when the quarterback flips it back to Genty here, you see that there is some pressure coming towards the side right here. But this is where he has the explosiveness that I think is maybe the most underrated aspect of his game, because everyone talks about, the jump cuts that he can make and just how he breaks so many tackles, but he's also just quick. Watch as he just accelerates past and he's able to pick up more yards on those plays. Again, the highlights are the highlights, and the highlights are awesome. And listen, he is a running back, so just by nature of the position, it's not like every snap he's out there you can make a highlight reel level play. That's just not how the sport works, right? Or not how the position works. But ultimately, he does have the ability to consistently do things to help out his team, which is very Marshawn Lynch-like way. Like a play like this, for example, where it's going to be, I'm going to show you the blocking concept on the screen. You have a player who's going to be pulling from the offense's left to the offense's right. That is where Genty will ultimately go. Well, when this play begins, you're going to see right here, so some contact right away, but nothing too massive. Watch how he's nimble enough to kind of get around there. Ultimately, there is contact. And listen, this isn't going to be like that first play I showed you where he, somehow finds a way to turn something into a touchdown. That's not why I'm showing this, but watch what he does. He's just hard to bring down, right? I mean, it just takes like 4 guys to bring him down. And this is why this is why the Marshawn Lynch comparisons are fair. Because I remember Marshawn in Seattle, it just felt like it always took like 3 or 4 guys to bring him down, And I just feel like Genty's kind of the same way, and it just wears out a defense. Yes, like fatigue is a real thing, and when you're constantly forcing corners to have to tackle, that's just going to make the defense worn out. In the fourth quarter, it's how you can win football games. So ultimately, I think there's been a good amount of running backs who have gone in the first round as of late, and they haven't all hit. I do think Genty is the kind of guy who I think we're going to look at him and say, yeah, he is worth that draft pick. That is going to be, regardless of what your running back value opinion is, he is someone who is, I think, an elite level player. At least that's how I see it. What do you think? If you enjoyed that video and want to hear more of my thoughts, well, for one thing, you can check out my movie channel. Yes, I have a movie channel. You can check the link in the description below. I do some fun things like some movie reviews, even some TV show reviews, tier list, fun things like that, so you can check that out. Also, make sure that you are subscribed and paying attention to this channel, as there will be plenty of draft content. I plan on making a video for every first round pick, many of the other picks throughout the draft, and also I will do recaps for each team after the draft is over. So I will eventually talk about every single pick from your favorite team. Be on the lookout for that, as it will be out this weekend. And also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Jackson Kruger, or X, whatever you prefer to call it. But yeah, that's all I got. Thanks again for watching till the end of the video.